1, 2. Check. All right, welcome everybody. Woo, that was close, and some of you saw that. Whoopsie. Good to see everyone. We're trying to do these streams every single Wednesday, so welcome back to Help Desk, Video Help Desk Live number 23. We've done 23 of these. Good to see you guys, and I don't know if you saw that, what you saw on your end, but I forgot to plug in the cable that goes from my Atem Mini to the computer. So I have this automatic, it's all automated when I start the show. And so once it goes through all the music stuff, it just cuts to me, and it cut to the EOS utility or whatever I had installed. So all that aside, good to see you guys. We've got several people in the chat, including Evan, Brandon. What's going on, Brandon? Parker, good to see you again. Wouter. Or Wooter, Tom, Buck. Everyone should check out Tom's channel. Good to see you, Tom. Sky, man, a whole bunch of Insignificant Child, Shutterhouse, something in another language I can't read because I don't understand it. The Nerdster, Mitch, Mr. Camera Junkie, Tim, and others. So welcome everybody. The way the show works is we do questions. It can be about really anything, but we try to talk about video production, YouTube, things of that nature. A couple pieces of news before we dive into today's show. New guide is available. GH6 also available is a new LUT 4. We've got one for S-Log 3 already, but the V-Log LUT is now available. So it also includes false color, which is pretty exciting. So if you want false color in camera on your GH6, you can now do that because you can load .cube LUTs. And that also is backwards compatible for GH4, 5, and other Panasonic cameras because I also included the VLT style LUT. So you guys can check that out. And then the other piece of news, not really news, but I am selling a ton of gear over on Gear Focus, and the link to this will be in the description. So if you want to pick up a 120D lenses, there's even a NAS on here. We've got Focusrite preamps, anamorphic lenses, lights, lots and lots of lights, camera rigs, keyboards, lenses, all kinds of fun stuff. So you guys can check that off. Got a lot of sales going on, and just trying to get that stuff moved out. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into some questions, shall we? I saw we had one super chat from Jacob, so we'll switch over to that. $5, thank you, Jacob. And he says, what is the highest ISO you can shoot in 1080p on the G7 before footage starts to noticeably degrade? Man, it's been a while since I've shot on the G7, but it's kind of going to depend on what's in your scene. So if you have a bunch of dark stuff, like in the corners of my frame here, yeah, I want to say around 800 to 1600 on that camera, but definitely test for yourself. And if you can overexpose and push things down a little in post, that'll help a little bit. But my guess is it's been a long time since I used that camera, but I want to say around 1600 ISO. But test it for yourself for sure. All right, what do we have? No CNF, correct. No Cameron Flask today. Let's see. What else do we have? Where am I going to dive in? Okay, I'm just going to jump right in with here with Blackout Studios. I have several lights that I can use. I have several lights that I can use for lighting videos. I'm not sure the best setup. What would be the best angles to have them in relationship to me? And how bright should they be? So I would set your camera settings to what you want. So get the shallow depth of field you want, get the shutter speed that you want, the ISO that's good low light or noise performance, then set up your lights. In general, I like to have a key light, kind of a, instead of right in front of me, it's going to be off. Sorry about that. Off at about a, 3/4 of the way, and or 45 degrees rather, and then about 45 degrees pointed down at me. Now, if you have glasses or wear a hat, you might want to change that a little bit. But in general, you want the light to come down so that you get a little bit of shadow and separation underneath your chin. And if it's too dark on this side, the opposite side, use a little bit of something white. For example, here I have a whiteboard, and you can see I can bring that in and massively fill in the side of my face. Now, this is tiny, so you'd want something much larger out of frame, and actually have something like that off to my side here, and then experiment. Maybe you want the light to be a little more sidey. Maybe you want it more in front of you. Just mess around with that. That's probably where I would start. And then I like to have a little bit of something kind of kicking the side of the head here. That's kind of what this light's doing. But in this particular shot, because the background's so bright, I don't really mess with it. But that's kind of how I would approach that. Let's see what else we got. What is your process for editing footage on the GH6, GH5S, Sony cameras you own since the GH5 is new color science? So yeah, talked about the LUTs. They're available now, and I need to do a video, kind of an updated video on how I grade footage or correct footage, because it's changed a lot over the years. So thank you for the reminder. I need to get to that, JC. What up, Mr. Camera Junkie? Good to see you, man. All right, looking to understand the next move if going with the FX3 or GH6. I have 3 Micro Four Thirds lenses already, so if I go with Sony, I'd have to embrace the new platform. Great question. If you already have lenses and you're happy with your, I don't know what Micro Four Thirds camera you have, but if you're happy with that, the GH6 could, slip right into that ecosystem very nicely. That said, the FX3 is pretty fantastic. So if it was up to me personally, and I'm not you, I would probably go FX3, but they're just different cameras. So if you watch my review for the A7S III and the GH6, that'll kind of give you a feel for my standing on those cameras. What is the best way to get retainer clients for video work? Maybe try to drum up some, either whether that be spec or something else, try to show a body of work that they can visualize it, right? So you want to be able to sell them on it. So have something that you can show them and be like, hey, we could do this for you. And my AirPods are being dumb and I don't really need them on. So I'm just going to go ahead and take them off here. I just like to wear them for the intro so I can hear, my timing and know when I need to stop sharing that the stream is live and actually pay attention to the stream and be on it. Hello from Poland. What's up, Walter? Best way to adapt Canon EF lenses to Micro Four Thirds body without losing image width. I'm not sure exactly what you mean there. I think maybe a speed booster or focal reducer is a good way to go. If you want the highest image quality possible and you're okay with it cropping in on that lens, just use a basic adapter. Yes, Tom has great information for sure. So everyone should check out Tom Buck's channel. Thank you, Sky. Appreciate that. Good to see you, Texas Golf Project. What is your... Oh, we already did that. Got it. Oh, we got a super chat in here. Mr. Matt Gray. What's going on, dude? $20 Nation. I'm just glad I caught it live. Appreciate the company while I edit. Well, thanks, man. I'm glad to be talking into your ear while you edit. So good to see you, man. What else we got here? Hey, new guys, starter video guys shooting very old school GH2. Want to hack it? Go for it, dude. Yep, there's a huge modding community around those early cameras for sure. Let's see. Is the GH5S still good in 2022? Absolutely. I love that camera still. Even the GH5, I ended up selling my GH5S, but I still have the GH5 because that thing is still pretty nuts. Thank you, Bax. Oh, nice. Just popped in to remind everyone to pick up your LUT pack. False color LUT is insane. Really appreciate it, man. Best, okay, we did that. Oh, using a speed booster, best way without using Metabone speed booster. Okay, so you can just use a basic adapter, EOS or EF to micro four thirds, or search like eBay for focal reducer. You'll find a ton of budget options, Amazon as well, and that's a way to save a lot of money, but still, you know, reduce the focal reducing image. A lens that's f4 is not good for night, right? That is correct, Roman. You probably want something a little faster than that, 2.8, 1.8, 1.4, etc. Another super chat, this time from Willie. $5 donation. Thank you as always. Thank you, man. That was unnecessary, but I really appreciate it. Right on, right on. Good to see you, Global. Any recommendations for an XLR boom mics under $200? Cody, I've done a video on shotgun microphones, and I believe there are a couple in that price range. So if you Google shotgun XLR microphones, DSLR video shooter, you'll find the video of me with like a billion microphones above me, where I break down all that stuff. Doughboy God, good to see you in the house, my man. What mic am I using right now? I've done a video on it. It's a fake SM7B. So it's a 3D printed thing where I take a handheld microphone and stick it in a 3D printed housing. That whole project is open source and you can check it out. It's one of my last videos that I've done. What's up, Nate? Good to see you, my man. Everyone should check out Nate's Film Tutorials. Great channel. Let's see. How do you personally expose S-Log3 footage on this A7S III? Do you use zebras or MM set to 1.7 or the metering mode? I personally use my LUTs. So not to here's a shameless plug, but the LUTs that are available on my website, I use those, and usually I will use my monitor and false color, and I can dial in what I need. On the camera itself, I usually use zebras. So if I don't have a monitor, I have zebras. I have two, and I talk about this in my A7S guide. I have two zebras set up, one for clipping, one for skin overexposed. And usually that's how I judge things. For the most part, I just try to overexpose as much as possible without clipping. And usually that works out pretty well, especially with the LUT pack where you can just quickly shift your exposure without having to mess with it too much. So that's kind of my methodology, but I include all the different methods in the guide so that if you find one that just for whatever reason is working for you best, then you have that information. Currently on the A6400, want to upgrade. Would you recommend the GH6? I read some stuff about this being the last Micro Four Thirds Pro camera. Would you recommend it? I mean, if you are coming from the A6400, maybe you kind of like that camera or some things about it, I would wait. I really hope and have a feeling Sony's going to give us something with that, a similar camera, but much better. So I would hold out if you can. If not, I'd probably stick with Sony at this point. Yeah, I don't think the future is super. I mean, how long ago? What was the gap between the GH5 and the GH6, time-wise? I have a feeling the GH6 to GH7, if it happens, is going to be an even larger gap. So that's my gut. That's what my gut says. I don't see the FX3 guide. Should I get your A7S III guide for that? Yes, Walter. Very similar cameras. There's, of course, that new firmware that's a little different on the FX3. But when it comes to S-Log3, the sensor, pretty much most of the settings and audio in that camera, it's going to be the same. Best way to super stable shot with minimal gear, no IBIS for run and gun. Yes, monopod, Manny, for sure. Love monopods. I still want to show you my attempt for the video desk beast, but you have not answered me. On which channel can I follow you? My setup has become pretty sick. Oh, dude, Shutterhouse. Twitter. Yeah, shoot me a photo on Twitter. I would love to see your setup. I love seeing people's builds for sure. All right, Ross Parker. I have two fairly dull curtain studio backdrops, one black, one green. Any advice on modernizing the setup with a more interesting and authentic background? So are these actual windows that you have curtains, or you just have that's what your current setup is and you want to completely change it? Let me know, Ross, because I would love it. And I've meaning to do a video on like video background ideas and how to kind of do some set design, even if you're in a really not good looking area or space. All right, what log would you use for Sony cameras? So I use for Sony cameras. If you're able to record in 10-bit, so A7S3, A7 IV, you want S-Log3 with S-Gamut3.cine as your color mode. If it's 8-bit, you want S-Log, well, I've done a video on it, look for like skin tone Sony issues, and for that you're gonna want S-Log2, and the color mode's gonna change depending on your tolerance for issues. But I've done a video on that. Purchased the OC5, haven't used it outdoors, recently picked up the Pocket 6K G2 LCD, is really bad for outdoor. Okay. Well, yeah, maybe give it a shot, see if it works for you. Are you planning to review the Canon R7? Kind of. Thank you for your videos. They're well made and very interesting. To be honest with you guys, I'm kind of burned out on reviews and, in a way, cameras. I still enjoy cameras, but if you look back at my body of work, if you will, here on YouTube, you'll see that the camera reviews are a pretty small percentage of it. I think I'm more interested in a lot of the fringe stuff when it comes to video production, lighting, modifying stuff, kind of hacking, rigging stuff. But the actual cameras, they just kind of bore me, especially these days. But the R7 might be an exception because I think it's one of the first cameras from Canon in a long time that's just going to be good, and it's semi-affordable. So I need to spend more time with it, but I'm looking forward to maybe doing a video on that. Kind of takes me back to when I started the channel. It's really exciting, that kind of price range, so we'll see. Let's see. Do you use a matte box? Yeah, they're totally overkill, super not worth it. But they look super cool, and I always want to have one, but I end up never really using it. So that's kind of my take on that. All right. If you're comfortable. Oh, hey, Nat. If you're comfortable, can you share how you manage things in the background? Do you have a team? Do you use a virtual assistant to upload videos, etc.? That is a fantastic question. And the answer is I have one employee that does assistant editing, kind of a studio manager. So usually I go around making messes all over the place as I try to figure out ideas for videos. That person comes along, cleans up after me, deals with archiving all of the old projects, but I still do a decent amount of heavy lifting with the edits, and no virtual assistants. So there you go. All right. Scrolling down here. Yeah, for Roman, you're going to want to look at f1.8, f1.4, or maybe 1.2 even would be good for low light. Okay, we got 18 to 35 adopted on the GH6 as a main lens, but looking to get into cinema lenses. What would you say is the best bang for buck cinema lens? Great question. Oh man, there's so many these days. If you're going to be using a focal reducer, I think right now they're kind of middle price, middle price, but the Mikey lenses, I've done a review on a set of those. That's a really solid set of lenses for not too much. Excuse me. Switched to straws recently. Feels weird, but really enjoying it. Getting a little dry throat action here. Essential filmmaking. What do you think? Do clients care about full frame? No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't care at all. They might sometimes ask for higher resolution, but very rarely. And we've got a $20 donation from Full Arch Now. $20 super chat. Thank you, sir. Caleb, super critical timing to get a video lighting setup. Saw some of your videos, but have specific needs. Are you available for 36-minute private chat? Not really, man, but hit me with what you got, and we'll figure it out here. To design a setup for something for needs starting from zero. Yeah, let me know kind of what you're looking at, man. I've done some videos on several different setups, but happy to help you here. Otherwise, you can shoot me an email. I can't promise I'll get to it fully, but that's also a good place to at least have it. So if I get down through all the stuff, I can help you out there. All right. Are you still doing videos on old cinema cameras? The ones I've done have already been great. Sully, maybe. I had plans to do a lot of them, but things have kind of like cooled off in our industry, if you will. And a combination of funds and interest has waned on that. But there are some people that have really kind of picked up the baton recently. What is it? Sony F55? Yeah, so CVP did this video recently, which you should check out. I'll drop it in the chat. And it's a very similar format. I'm not saying they stole it at all. I love CVP. Fantastic channel. Tons of great information. But 10-year-old Sony cinema camera, you know, so there's other channels kind of taking this up. So I might carry on with it. But I don't have plans to pick it up immediately here in the short term. I originally was going to do, or I don't know, a couple months ago, I was planning on doing a Pocket, the original Blackmagic cinema camera, the 2.5K, which I still might do a video on, but I just don't have as much time or interest in, you know, taking a camera out, fully filming with it. And if I don't have a ton of footage, people get really upset. So that's kind of where we're at with that whole thing. Right, where do we leave off? Here we go. How do you feel about the black Mamba cages? Looking at one for the GT6, but notice you have standard one of yours. I don't like little tiny thin cages. I like beefy manly cages, just because I don't like flex. And when you start adding stuff to a rig, I hate it when you get that nasty flex action. So I'm trying to avoid those. I feel like there's really a big missed opportunity, or there's no one really making heavy-duty cages. I want a ton of mounting options on the bottom and the top of the camera. Give me huge cheese plates, right? No one's doing that right now, which is really sad because that would be amazing. So if you make cages and you're watching this video, give us more mounting. I want like a ton of left to right mounting points underneath and above cages, super rigid. Don't go for that minimal stuff. Like, it's cool that we have that as an option, right? So if you just want to put a microphone and a little dainty handle, that's fine. But also give us an option for something meaty. So right now, small rigs, more standard cages are what I've been using. But if another company starts up making stuff like that, I'm not sold or owned or, you know, brand loyal at all. Yeah. For podcasting, fake SM7 BS, which I think is what I'm going to stick with for a permanent name for this, or the MV7. Haven't tried the MV7, but I mean, you're listening to this right now, and there's been a bunch of videos people have done on the microphone and seem to be enjoying it as well. All right, where did I leave off? Dadgummit, here we go. Can you please make a video about the color depth? I'm having trouble understanding the science behind it. Color depth. Color depth. Color bit depth, like 10-bit versus 8-bit. You can look that up, 10-bit versus 8-bit. You should find some good content. But in short, that's one of the most important things. It's more important than chroma or 422, 420. You want 10-bit. No more 8-bit unless it's Canon in some cases. Let's see. Is the Canon RP and R still good in 2022? Well, you're watching me on a Canon RP right now. You know, for streaming, I think it's fine. I'd probably look at other options like the R7 if you could these days. I have a Zcam E2 thinking of adding F6 for interview kit. but speed boosters or just get another E2. So you're saying the FX6 or the F6, like the recorder, like the audio stuff? Buy speed boosters or just get the E2. I think that's what you mean. I mean, I think I'm not a huge Zcam fan, so my thing would be go Sony. But if you want two cameras, that's a great idea to have two of the same camera. Tom Buck, the one and only. Check out his channel. Good stuff. The customization options for the fake SM7B are awesome. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. Custom options. Are you talking about like ways to modify it and make it your own? Yeah, and I hope to continue to work on that project, release more versions and additions, so that should be fun. G2 guy again. Which GH2 hack? Depends on what hack. So I don't know. I'm not as familiar. I never hacked a GH2, but so there's way more qualified people on forums online to answer your question there. Unfortunately, I just don't know which one's best. Just got the S1H and the Sigma MC21. Any tips for which best Canon? Yeah, I haven't used a ton of Canon lenses, so I know the 24-70 Mark II, I used a ton on that camera, and it worked great with that adapter. Of course, if you go with Sigma lenses, that's going to be a more affordable and a more reliable route, so something to keep in mind. Would you consider upgrading the GH6 coming from the G85 or jumping lens platforms, Sony a7 IV? I mean, if you love your G85, you're going to adore the GH6. And if you're okay without good autofocus, you're going to be happy with that camera. That said, A7 IV, the lenses are going to be more pricey, bigger, everything's going to get bigger, but full frame is pretty sick. So maybe it comes down to rolling shutter for you. Rolling shutter is pretty bad on the A7 IV, so just keep that in mind. Do you have a fake SM7B parts available for sale? Last I checked, they were sold out. So yeah, we have 20 kits completely done. I'm just waiting for the boxes to be able to ship them out. Those arrived today or have already arrived. So we should start shipping 20 units, and we've already, this whole time, we've been printing more. So I'm hoping to keep production pretty high on that, at least as much as I can, and maybe putting some of those funds back into 3D printers and just keep this thing rolling. So stay tuned here on YouTube, Twitter, the email list, all of those, like thousands of people signed up for that email list. So for those who downloaded the files, and if you just go to camerafoundry.com, there you can sign up for email notifications, and I'll just be blasting out on all those platforms at the same time, and we'll see what happens when it comes to sales. Or, yeah, so 20 with more to come, long story short. Yes, same thing there. Do you plan on doing a video on variable ND filters? I did one 1,000 years ago, or 12 years ago to be more exact, when I started the channel. Honestly, I way prefer having two ND filters. Get magnetic filter adapters. Tons of companies sell them. You just snap one or the other on, good to go. It's going to look way better, less issues. I probably should do a video about that, my filter kit. So good questions. Do you have the Atem Shogun 7 HDR? No, I don't. I have the Shogun Inferno and a couple Ninja 5s. Thoughts on the new R7 compared to full frame? Great question. I'm hoping to do a video because I have an R. My wife uses the R. I have an RP. I will, for a short period of time, have the R5C before I sell it, and the R7. So maybe I'll just do a side-by-side, and we'll just see what it looks like. Could be fun, right? I should check out what global change? Did I miss something? Oh, check out the monitor. Nice. We already talked about that. We got another super chat from Texas Golf Project. Can I retain your consulting services for podcast YouTube? Great work. The content is great. Unfortunately, first of all, thank you for the donation. Unfortunately, I don't do consultations right now. I just don't have the resources to. Maybe someday. I love that idea as a retirement. Just help people one-on-one. But if you have any questions, drop them here, and I'll do my best to nail down answers. We're going to go for another 20 25 minutes probably. What do I think about the Panasonic DMC FZ1000? I've never used those, but those cameras look pretty solid. You know, smaller sensor, built-in zoom, right? Unless that's that vlogging camera. I can't recall the models. When can we expect a new video about anamorphic projector lenses? I kind of did one a while back. I'm probably not going to do more. I think projection lenses there's still a place for them, but I think we're starting to leave that realm, and all these budget anamorphic lenses are kind of taking over. What people need to do is stop putting stinking blue and orange filters or coatings on these things. Just give us nice, that's what I'm so excited about, Great Joy. Just nice, clean optics. Is there any chance you can damage the camera when powering it with an internal dummy battery plate? I mean, there are ways you could screw up power with all kinds of adapters like that. Personally, it's never happened to me, but you don't want, you just want to be careful that you don't apply power that is too high or too low. Usually your camera will turn off when it's too low or slightly off, but yes, there is a chance that if you mess around with power with your camera and using third-party stuff, that there will be issues. Just got my first GH5. I've been using GH4 for years. Are there any known issues with matching their color? Yes, you're going to have a lot of issues. Well, not issues. They're just going to look very different. And you might find yourself wanting to sell the GH4 and get another GH5 because there's a pretty big difference between the two. Does Canon EOS R RP have logs? R does, RP does not. Let's see. Oh boy, I'm way behind, folks. All right, I'm going to scroll down and make sure I didn't miss any. Okay, we didn't. Good, good, good. Let's see. Where was I? Got one for my Pocket Pro since the 9. Killing batteries quite fast. 12-volt output of the plate was killing the batteries quite fast. I don't know what you mean by that. I mean, that camera eats batteries for lunch, that's for sure. Let's see. All right, here we go. Do you think the natural color profile is good enough for the GH5, worth upgrading to Vlog? Yes, Vlog, 100%. GH4, GH5 and up, Vlog for sure. That's all I shoot with on any Panasonic camera. Or really any camera is always log if I have the option. Right. There's a total difference between reviewing something that you're genuinely excited about versus feeling the need to cover or release. 100%, Tom. And I'm just kind of done with cameras. I never was really super into it. And I'm not saying I'll never review a camera again, but, I just rather talk about, like today I came with a video idea. I don't know if I'll ever make it, but like super nerdy, like DIY battery adapters, like stuff that no one cares about. For whatever reason, I'm more interested in that than cameras. All right. Alina, 3 camera setup, Sony cameras, A7 III already in the mix. Which do you recommend for the other 2? If you're already using A7 III, any of Sony's A6400 or A6600, those will match pretty darn close if you want to save some money and don't want to get a bunch of full frame cameras. In a perfect world, it would be all 10-bit cameras, but if you're happy with that camera, yeah, A6400 will cut nicely with the A7 III. He literally has some Mapbox in his logo. Well, they look cool, dude. Of course I do. There is irony there, though. Have I used IRIS lenses? No, but I've heard some great things about them. I wish they had more of a set, though, because they kind of have like strange combinations, right? It's not like a full set of lenses. All right. Yes, Roman. I think it's still good, depending on your use case. Are you using 3D printed parts right now? Yes, I'm using it right now. So depending on how you print it, it might hold up differently. So whenever you're doing 3D printing, there's two main plastics that are used. PLA, which is biodegradable, which is awesome, but it can like warp under heat. So if you put it on the dash in your car, a little figure, it'll just kind of droop as things get warm. I use PETG, which is what this microphone is made of, and that's resistant to heat, no issues, going to last a long, long time. But it maybe doesn't look quite as nice when printed. So that's the deal. And I mean, the microphones inside of this project, that's why it's so awesome, is if I chuck this at a concrete parking lot, yes, the plastic will probably crack and break. But these handheld microphones are used to and designed for people like Mick Jagger just to beat the living snot out of them. So they're super duper rugged. So if anything, you're just making the microphone even more, strong. And if you ever own 3D printer, you can just reprint stuff, reprint parts. So yeah, they're holding up awesome. And again, if you're going to live like this, where it's just sitting on a microphone arm on your desk, it's really rugged. I'm going to mute my microphone here. I mean, this thing is pretty solid. I'll take off the cover. Oh my gosh. As my ball mount loosens here. But yeah, they're really rugged. I wouldn't worry about it. The most delicate part is going to be this grill, so I'll just leave it exposed just for kicks. And you guys can hear what that sounds like without a foam cover. Let's see. I'm curious if that... No, it didn't really adjust our levels too much. Thanks for answering my question. Curtains are hung. All right, so we're back to curtains. Hiding a plain white wall with a plug, outlets, and trunking. Hoping for something more interesting like you have. Yeah, I mean, throwing things out of focus a little bit does wonders. So if you actually just watch my latest video that I put on my channel, you'll see all kinds of stuff in the background there, and a lot of that stuff is hiding outlets and all kinds of stuff. So put some, random furniture, I love little side tables. Those are great. Cases, depending on what the kind of videos you do. If it's if you're looking for something a little cleaner, even just go to Home Depot and build some basic boxes and paint them white or gray. Stick them in the background, put some plants, lamps. I love lamps. There's a lot of little lights in my background in my videos. All that stuff does wonders to kind of just spice it up, and most people aren't going to notice the odd, outlet. Yeah, so I would look into that kind of stuff like that. Just go on YouTube or search Google images for like set design, and just start taking notes. See what you like and try stuff. Go to a antique store, pick up some random odds and ends. Thank you, Nat. Appreciate that. Is the background you have genuine solid wall or some kind of setup replicated wooden boards or pop-up? Is the setup... So everything I have is real walls. So that's a gray wall. You can look up the color. It's a fantastic color. If you guys are looking for a nice gray, PM-7 paint. Let me look up the code to make sure I'm getting it right. Platinum gray. Oh, that's okay. Here, hang. I'm sorry. I'm making a mess of this. Dadgummit. Where is it? It's a platinum gray. Benjamin Moore. PM7, I think. There we go. This is the paint color. Benjamin Moore, platinum gray, PM7. It's a great color, and it's one of the most neutral and closest to an even it doesn't have a magenta or green shift. So that's why I landed on that for my my color. Sorry to waste everyone's time there trying to hunt that down. Let's see. Any recommendations for 90s to 2000 dad cam? Oh man, there's a lot of great options out there. I love VHS, finding a VHS camera, spinning that bad boy up, put a little capture, SD card thing on it or something. Or go legit and use actual VHS tape. So yes. So I'm trying to remember the name of the channel, but that was a great little series. I didn't watch the whole thing, but it's super interesting. Holy smokes, we're behind. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to scroll down here because I am insanely far behind. And I'm going to kind of pick up near the bottom. Sorry, guys. I try to get through it all. Didn't expect that to be a topic here. Now you've got my attention even more. Nice. No, love 3D printing. I mean, if I could just stop everything, or not stop everything, but I'm really enjoying 3D modeling, 3D printing. It's been a hobby for a long time. Okay, working on setting up a 3-camera podcast. Need a monitor. Do you still recommend the Atem Mini Pelican setup? Yeah, that's a great setup. But if you're gonna have a more permanent setup, you don't really need a case. So you could definitely rig something else up. We've got a $5 Canadian super chat from Gabriel. Hey Caleb, thanks for always putting out the great content. What do you think / have you ever tried Nanlite products? I've messed with a couple. I've had some of their tube lights in the past. Nothing against them. So I haven't really tried a lot of their big boy lights, but yeah, if you find something that looks like it'll work, I think it's a solid company. They make solid stuff, so I wouldn't worry about it being a bad idea at all. As I get a thumbs down, so apparently aperture is in the house. Any tips for filming in front of a wall, only short distance behind you? Fantastic question. If you can, get a corner in there somewhere. If you have no choice and you're just literally up against a wall, put a light on a stand right behind you. So imagine you can see an outlet right there. Imagine just put a little stand with a light right behind you and do kind of what I'm doing here. Just add a little bit of dimension, get a splash of light, and use the fastest lens you possibly can to get some separation there. All right, great question from Caleb. What's up, Caleb? Question, when streaming, how do you make sure the audio and video are in sync? It seems often to be out of sync when doing 4K. So the best way is to think about your audio chain and have your audio link up with your video. So plug your microphone into your camera and then audio and video over the same HDMI cable. Usually that works. And if you can, some software or the Blackmagic Atem Minis, there's a way to delay the audio to match the video, and then you can do some tests and get that delay just right. Where did I leave off? Looking for a camera that can stream 4K 24/7 year-round. Any chance? You're probably looking at something like a camcorder for that. I don't think a large sensor camera is the way to go, but that stuff does exist. So yeah, or there's like those little action cameras that just have an SDI cable coming out the back. Something like that's going to be way more. I mean, something might work from like Panasonic, one of their smaller sensor deals. But if you wanted to survive, I'm probably looking at something designed more for that. What's going on, man? Oh, dude, we should 100%. Everyone should check out GX Ace. Let me look this up here. GX Ace YouTube. This dude is off the charts talented. So glad to see you here, man. This is the channel. Just go there, subscribe right now. Just GX Ace on YouTube. No joke, one of the most awesome. I just love watching your stuff, man. Why? Oh, that's right. I'm on a different browser. That's why we're dealing with ads. Your set design is nuts. Look at this stuff. Look at this. Just everyone watch this for a second. Look at that. He's wearing like a helmet thing with like LEDs and cables and stuff. Let's find another shot. Beautiful. Just gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. So if you're looking for inspiration for kind of sci-fi, set decky stuff, and you're into taking photos and cameras, check out this man's channel. It's bonkers. Just bonkers. There he is. Look at all this stuff. Oh. I remember when I found your channel, I was like, crap. I'm really bad at making videos. So I love your stuff, dude. But yes, it'd be super fun to collaborate on stuff like that. 3D printing's super duper fun. So good to see you here, man. What else? A couple minutes here. C300 original review when? I talked about reviews earlier that might take a break from cameras. But yeah, C300 OG. I'd probably lean more toward a C100 Mark II. Unless you needed, that SDI life. But yeah. Let's see. What is the best setup for teleprompter? Need to set up a podcast solution for a client, interviewing guests. So I've kind of done a video on it. These Glide Gear teleprompters, the one I'm using right now, works really well with a 7 to, I think, 8 or 10 inch monitor. That's probably what I would recommend. There you go, Mr. Camera Junkie. 4K webcam for 24/7. That would totally work. Good question, Caleb, or good mention there. Yeah, the preamps. You could use a nicer preamp, like a $50 to $100 one with the camera. But Ecamm, I haven't checked, but do they have an audio delay? If they don't, they should add that 100%. You got it, James. Yeah, more 3D printing. I do have some pretty crazy projects coming up. I think we've got like 4 or 5 more things like this coming up, but they're going to be camera related. So instead of, oh my gosh, this ball mount. Instead of doing microphone stuff on a camera channel or video channel, I've got some really fun cinema camera-y stuff. So that should be fun. And some more audio for video parts and things. Another question about delaying audio. What's up, Samantha? Good to see you. I'm using the Atem Mini Pro and using 2 cameras. One is over wireless. And the audio is out of sync. So somewhere in the software, you can Google or search on YouTube for Atem Mini audio delay, and you should find the setting where you can dial all that stuff in. How good is the Zoom H1 for interviewing loud events? I haven't. Well, I imagine that has a line input, so you should be good to go. Yeah, 100%. GX Ace is a beast. Oh, anytime, man. You're killing it, dude. If I could assimilate one, no joking, not blowing smoke. If I could just assimilate one person's like skill off of YouTube, at 100% be your like set design, all of it. So good, so good. Favorite ND? What's the brand? It's not Polar Pro. I honestly don't remember, but it's another company that makes really high quality NDs, and they're just basic round NDs. I've got 2 of them with magnetic filters, and that's all I use. Do I believe a speed booster is absolutely necessary? Absolutely not. Will I ever make a guide? Probably not. The GH6, also, honesty time, is the last camera guide from me. Specific camera guide. I am working on another camera guide that will cover every camera. So it's going to be like understanding cameras or something like that. And it's going to essentially cover everything. Log, exposing your camera correctly for any camera, what to look for when buying a camera, and a huge section on lenses, choosing lenses, what to look for, how to use lenses, color grading, footage, codecs, pretty much everything you would ever need to know about filming video with cameras will be in this one guide. So I'm pretty much done doing, Panasonic, Sony, this. No more. We're done with that. We're moving on to one guide that covers all cameras, framing, go into framing, a lot of different camera related stuff. So, long story short, no, I'm not going to do one on the FS7, but this guide will cover everything. All right. RIP camera guides. Yep. Caleb camera guides 2014 to 2022. Rest in peace. And I think on that bombshell, we might go ahead and call it here. I saw one in here. No, I probably won't do a setup guide, but there's ones online for that. So, what is the time? I've got 8 minutes to wrap things up, shut off lights, and get home. So I'm going to wrap things up here, guys. Fantastic questions tonight. Thanks for hanging out with me. We're going to try to keep doing this as many Wednesdays as possible. So if I'm able, I'll be here next Wednesday. Hope to see you guys then. For those of you who have purchased the guides and lots, thank you so much for the support, for hanging out with me. I appreciate you spending some time with me. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video and over on social media. Have a great night.